I don't know if I'm going to keep on starting these videos off this way, but I see no sign of it stopping anytime soon. Uh, so I was, this will be a hodgepodge again, because there's um, just a lot of things, a lot of little things, un petite things going on. And I keep on coming across stuff. I'm still cleaning up the room, and look, there's Lego space. There's space on my table, which is the first time in a long time. I don't. Josh built that, so I'm gonna leave that. We also got this somehow, somewhere, probably I think last year's bricks in the six. I don't know. They came from somewhere. I will say this. I love when Lego just throw things against the wall to see what sticks. And when I say Lego in this context, is the Lego company. I should be very specific. I love it when the Lego company throws stuff against the wall and see what sticks. They came out with this theme years ago called Click It. And I mean, I don't want to think I want to dig them out, but I don't even know where they are right now. I have a bin of Click Its somewhere. Oh, they're way down there. I'm not going to get them. I did buy a few off the store shelves. I didn't buy a lot off the store. I think 2 or 3 sets, small sets. Just because when I went to Brick Fest 2004, somebody there had built an aquarium. And I think Clickets came out before 2004. And some of the corals and whatever else that they had were built out of Clickets or something close thereof if Clickets wasn't out in 2004. And I thought I could probably do the same, but I never got around to it. I also got, because of the used lots after that, I got some more Clickets, and I got 2 pillows and blah, blah, blah. So I do have a small bin full of Clickets, and they stay separately over there in the bin. I don't roll them into the rest of the collection because the parts are unique, and unique parts just go off in their unique spots. So I had no hatred towards Clickets. I actually liked it. I thought it was a kind of cute thing, and I'm glad they did it. Just see what happens. And it lasted a couple of years. More recently, they came up with Dots, which was not a Click-It replacement. It was just basically a lot of small tiles that had different prints on it, different colors on it, that you can design different things with it, and like mosaics and stuff, and bracelets and stuff. So kind of like Clickets, because Clickets also had bracelets and stuff. But Dots was kind of cool, I will say it. I didn't buy a set of Dots at all off the store shelves. I didn't. But I seem to have acquired a bunch of them over the last few years. And I don't mind. I would say even people in the Lego community, if you're not part of the Lego community, and I don't fault you if you're not, because nobody has to be part of this community. But if you're part of this community and you lived in it as long as I have, since like 1998, the ebbs and flows of the fandom versus the company and what the company is doing at any particular time. And this is even going pre-internet, by the way, now. So there was a wonderful thread. I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again because most of the people watching this probably don't know about it. There was an epic thread, an epic post on Lugnet decades ago. I can't even find it now. I actually did a quick search and I can't find it. Doesn't matter. Where a person with a wonderful sense of humor, just an absolutely perfect sense of humor, decided to poke fun a little at what I consider now to be the toxic fan, not to go back in that topic, but the fan who doesn't like change. And this is in the early 2000s. So if you look at it, you could see there in the world of Lego toys, there are timelines when stuff happened, when the Lego company made small changes, incremental changes, and or large changes to what they were manufacturing and what they were producing for the purchasing public. For the longest time, if you weren't paying attention, you would go to the Lego store. If you go to the Eaton's or whatever store to buy Lego sets between, I would say, 1965 and 1977, or maybe even 1975, let's say 1975. there were a variety of different sets, and during that decade there was or 10 years, because I guess a decade, 65 to 75, there were changes, additions to bricks. They added to their palette of bricks that they produced. And I mean, I got one right up here, and I always keep it up here because it's a fantastic set. And these pieces were very unique to this time. Now, I don't know exactly what year this came out, and I knew once, and I just don't care to find it now. But you can tell just by the logo that this set came out pre-1975. It did. So, and my wonderful brick there. And if you take it apart, I don't have the right piece here, because this is supposed to be a 4x8 with this peg on it built into it. And I had not this set, but a transport truck when I was a little kid, and I had that 4x8 piece because it was the same piece, except I believe it was in yellow. I'm faking this one because I don't have that 4x8 piece, but I got the rest of it, and I put one of these little chopper 2x3 bricks on top. But this piece here, this flatbed on the back, is a piece that is really exclusive to this time. And I don't know how many sets it came in. I should research that, but I don't know how many sets this came in. But it didn't come in a lot of sets. I may have had this in my set that I remember when I was a kid, but I don't remember it. I didn't remember this piece. And you can see it's a brick back here, and it turns into two plates, and then turns into one plate, and has this very unique bottom to hold the forget what these, the dog wheels or whatever, the wheels that hold up so the trailer doesn't fall over. There's a term for it, and I can't remember now. Doesn't matter. But this is a very unique piece in 1970, in the early 70s, late 60s, and they discontinued this piece. And of course, there was no internet at the time, so I don't know if there was an uproar from the community. I don't know if there was a community of Lego fans. I mean, there were people who love Lego, kids that love Lego. But I don't know if there was an uproar with kids shaking their fist in the general direction of Denmark saying, "Why did you discontinue this piece?" This piece has been out of print for over 40 years now, probably over 50 years now. This piece has been out of print, if you want to call it that, out of production. And is it a cool piece? I think so, because it does this. Now, you can brick build this piece and whatever, blah, blah. But as I was saying, between 65 and 75, there were changes. But I don't think anybody was tracking those changes on the public. I'm sure the company was tracking these changes, but I don't think there might have been fans back then that did part counts and inventories and blah, blah, blah. I know I started doing that when I was a kid, when I started getting my sets that were not just basic sets, that, what's in the 918, what's in the whatever. But I wasn't that adherent to it. I didn't do a lot of inventories back then. But I did make sure I could put my sets back together, because I roll the pieces into my collection, and then I want to build the 918 again or whatever. So 65 to 75, if going to the store and buying sets, you probably didn't notice too much difference between the sets you were buying in 1965 and sets you were buying in 1975. You probably didn't. They had the basic sets, they had the vehicle sets, they had whatever sets, the specific sets that had instructions, and sets that just came with a bunch of random bits. When I was born in 67, and I started getting my first Lego sets in 70, 71, 72, those are the sets I got. And again, I have pictures of getting set number 6, the Samsonite set number 6, which had a lot of basic, it's a big white box. I think it came with at least 2 10x20 green base plates on it, or base bricks. I don't even know what to call them, the 10x20 green bricks with the tubes that are on the outside. And that mold changed over the years. The 10x20 changed over the years. They didn't have the tubes underneath at the beginning, and I got some gray and red and whatever ones that don't have tubes. They just have an X or a cross pattern at the bottom. So the Lego company was slowly evolving and changing things, much to, I don't think people were noticing. Or if they did, they didn't really put any effort into figuring out why things changed. 1975, I think, was the very, very, you can go way back before they only made red and white bricks and windows and doors, before they even made tires, right? And then they made tires, ooh, that's a big change. And then they made train tracks, ooh, that's a big change. Those were changes. But I think from 1975 to 1976 was a drastic change in the company. And that wasn't nearly as drastic as from the change from 1976 to 1977. And 1977 was a drastic change. From 75 to 76, or from 74 to 75, should we say. 75 is when they invented the original OG minifig that didn't move. That was 1975, from my understanding. It could have been plus or minus a few years, but the ones I got were 1975. But it was like 4 pieces. It was the legs and feet, one piece. I got them right there. I should actually show you. The torso with no moving arms and legs, a minifig head that has no printing on it, and a cap. That was it. So, and those lasted from 1975 to 77. So that was they have minifigs now, pre-minifigs, in 1975. So that was a substantive change for the people who were buying sets, because all of a sudden you have a figure that wasn't like a maxi fig, which was again evolved into the maxi fig. You have a figure now that you get to play with and build things to scale and blah blah, like a village. And then 1977, Technic showed up. They call it Expert Builder, but we'll just call it what it is, Technic. In 1977. Again, they had pre-Technic parts, which again I had up here. I'm not going to bother trying to find it. That were the axles were before 1977, and the 1x2 bricks with the hole in them were pre-1977, but they weren't the same as the ones that came out in 1977. So Technic was a huge game changer, because now you can do something with the Lego. It can do it itself. You can build a workable engine piston run car with steering, and they had steering before I mentioned that, with the one piece, the 2x4 brick with the peg on it, that wheel brick. But this was a huge change to how people looked at Lego. It wasn't just that was becoming less of a building toy for little kids, as now I can build machines that actually work, that have gears and levers and blah blah blah. And then 1978, when the actual minifig that we know and love came out, set number 600, the little police car, which I got for Christmas that year. And I got the Esso truck. Minifigs, boom, and then so a lot of stuff that came before, all the unique pieces that came before, like this, lasted a few years. Technic lasts to now. I mean, you can still get Technic now. And even the gears that you got in 1977 last to now, and the axles you got from 1977 last to now. But that's whatever. But the minifig that came out in 1975 did not last past 1977. And the minifig that came out in 1978, the minifig that came out in 1978 is no, I won't say exactly, but basically exactly the same minifig that you have now, and lasted from 1978 to now, because the minifig was a huge, massive, radical change for Lego, because now you have a working minifig that you can build into layouts and do stuff with, and now you can make stories. And well, you could always make stories. I'm not trying to say you couldn't. I'm just saying all of a sudden you have a minifig, and they're still around 40 years later, 35 years later. I guess it's 1978, and it's coming up to 2000. Yeah, so 50 years of the minifig is coming up. So 1978 to 2028, is that 50 years? My math is bad. 88, 98, 2008. Yeah, 50 years of the minifig coming up in a few years. And they're still around, and they are much beloved, so much so that they came out with collectible minifigs a few years back, because minifigs are awesome. And so that was, and then ever since, like, so the slow incremental changes from the 50s and the 60s into the early 70s, and then 1975, bing, 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 boom, all of a sudden everything changes all the time. If a unique part that you could have got in the set 4 or 5 years ago, you can't get now, but they have thousands of other different parts now. They're coming up with more slope parts, so you can make all these fancy geometric designs now that they never had before. Like what they, and again, I have a whole page up of acronyms, but snot building, studs not on top, by the way, it's not a gross expression, it's called, this is an acronym called snot, it's studs not on top, so the studs are not facing up, they're facing out, facing down, facing sideways, facing out at any remote angle. Snot didn't become a thing until the late 70s. You would hardly ever see a set pre-1977 that was using snot building techniques. Now, there were, like the lunar lander had a 1x2 plate forced between two studs for the little radar dish on top of the blue lunar lander that came out prior to 1977, 1978. And I think they did it in a few other places too, where that was one of the building techniques that is now illegal, which is to force a 1x2 plate between two studs, like that. That is an illegal building technique. Now, you can do that. That's perfectly legal. You can put a tile between two studs, according to what I've been told, but putting a plate between two studs, because the interference of this stud to this stud is an illegal build, according to the legal company, if I remember correctly. But they did it. Prior to 1975 or in 1975. So, but anyway, you can build so much now and make beautiful, smooth, rounded, pyramid, whatever shapes you want now out of Lego easily. You could do it in the past too, but it was a lot harder, a lot more difficult. You didn't have the parts palette that we have today. It's that they came out with a brand new set just a few days ago that everybody wants now. It was from Pirates of the Caribbean, or Caribbean, depends on how you want to say it. And it's the Black Pearl, and they came out with a 4x4 wedge brick that has a nice slope on it, so you can build more different angles now, more pyramid type stuff, and blah blah. So they're almost every year, well, definitely every year, but almost every set now overall, any big release of a big set, they come up with new parts, which never happened this way before. It's like a lot. It's almost every new big set has a different part in it that they had to develop for that, or make it easier to build for that set. I mean, if you look at it, if you want to go back as an example, 1978 when they came out with the Classic Space and the Yellow Castle, you go with the Classic Space line. I'm not sure if the wing plate, the 4x8 wing plate, existed before 1978. I didn't check that, but they developed the wing plate that was really used in a lot of Classic Space sets. From 1978, 1979, 1980, this was the same parts palette for basically all the space sets. I think the 1x2 jumper plate or tile, whatever you want to call it, came out prior to 1978. Possibly, I don't remember. But it was used a lot in Classic Space sets to get centered stuff. And so I think about, I don't know why I think about this. I think about this stuff, and then the Lego, and this is where this is going, in the process of coming out with new parts and new pieces and whatever, they discontinue old molds because they're not building with those pieces anymore to make sets, and so they discontinue, just like this piece here, this big piece here, they discontinue making that piece. When the internet showed up and people started discussing this stuff, people started saying, oh, Lego is no longer making X brick or X plate or X piece, and I wish they would still make that piece because it's such a great piece. I go to talk about the train guys who the 9-volt system showed up, the 9-volt train track showed up pre-2000, I think. Before it was either the 12-volt or the 4.5-volt battery on the light gray rails and the dark gray sleepers, I guess they call them, I can't remember. And then before that was the blue rails with the white sleepers. So they discontinued the blue rails with the white sleepers, came out with the light gray with the dark gray sleepers that were basically identical to the blue rails, and then they came out with the 9-volt line. And the 9-volt line, basically the second that came out, they discontinued, but they discontinued most of the old 4.5-volt / 12-volt train track pieces. They didn't need them anymore. They made 9-volt track pieces. That was one piece for like a section of track. Now they did have the straight track still in other sets after that, and I think very recently I have a few in dark blaze, so obviously they've been making that one piece of straight track to this day. I don't know if they're making it now, but they made it very relatively recently. But they discontinued the old train tracks when they came with the new train tracks. And then when they discontinued the 9-volt, they got rid of the 9-volt train tracks, and the newer train tracks is still the same color, the dark gray, but they don't have the metal on them, which is whatever. And then they made the flexible track, which is something I never play with at all. But they discontinue old pieces, and what happens is the fans who all talk amongst themselves and are trying to build something really cool with specific parts that they cannot get anymore from the Lego company, they get mad at the Lego company. They do. They honestly do. I remember the threads on Lugnet where people, I can't stand that Lego discontinued this piece. Now again, I'm not going to fault them for being, emotional or upset about it. They're passionate about what they're building, and they want to build with that part, and they can't get that part anymore because Lego company discontinued it or didn't produce it in the colors they wanted or whatever. But the Lego company cannot keep on producing parts because they got a whole parts palette of thousands of different parts now. I don't even know what it's up to, but they make lots of different parts now, and therefore they're not going to keep on making the old parts that they can no longer use or they longer build with. Now I've seen, because Lugnet has this wonderful little, or Piron has this wonderful little thing that if you look up a specific part, it tells you what years and what colors they came in. And you'll find a few, and I can't remember any off the top of my head, but you'll find a few that stopped in for example, 1994, and all of a sudden it shows up again in 2002. So, they needed it for a new build over here, and they'll dig out the mold or whatever, and they'll make that part again. So the Lego company has no problem itself of reissuing parts that they have discontinued previously if it's going to be appropriate for whatever they're building on whatever given year. So they have done that. I don't pay enough attention to care. I just get the parts here that I want, and since I'm on the secondhand market more than I am buying Lego off the shelf, it doesn't matter to me if they discontinue parts. Would I rather them make all the parts new? Yes, for sure, but they don't, and so therefore I'm not going to put one more iota of work or effort or emotional investment into that. They have a company to run. They have a company to run, and therefore I'm not going to tell them how they should run their company. Obviously they've been around since I think 1947 or whatever it is. They've been doing pretty good. The late 90s, we won't even talk about right now. but barring the late 90s, they have been proving themselves over and over and over and over again, even with the huge competition from I'll be nice about this, other companies that want to weasel in on their market that they've been developing since 1947 by making identical bricks in a lot of cases, because they just want to make a quick buck and not come up with their own stuff. They just want to basically crib, cheat, plagiarize off of the company beforehand. Now again, we can go into all the nuance of that, and that's not part of this conversation. I think I'm pretty well versed in the history of the Lego company and how it got to be where it is, but barring all what happened previously 50 plus years ago, companies showing up now and just basically outright stealing the exact set that Lego hasn't even got to the market yet and beating them to the market with their knockoff version. It's bad cricket. it's just bad. So but anyway, I don't have an issue with Lego discontinuing parts. I think I wouldn't want them to try to keep on making parts that they can no longer, or they do not make into their own sets that they sell in the stores. I think it's a waste of their time to keep on just producing parts that are like, I mean, seriously, where would this have been used, this piece here, where would that have been used in the last 40 years? People might want it, and if you want it, you can go on Bricklink to get it, but I don't think there's a demand for that specific part. Now, there are parts that I think I would want a demand for, trans clear radar dishes that came in the mobile tracking center, mobile tracking vehicle, but that was discontinued in 1978. So the clear one, they came out with red afterwards and dark gray afterwards, for even before, for the castles, and the dark trans red for the rest of the space theme for a while. But the trans clear only came in one set, and I only have like 6 pieces that are not broken, 6 or 7. I'd love to have more of those, but I'm not going to say, hey, Lego company, I need you to produce that piece. Why would I do that? I think that would be dumb. And again, when I was younger, I said, because they started with the Legends line. They talked about the Legends. This was the first time they re-released it. When they re-released the set, They re-released the Metroliner, like years after the original Metroliner, and the Metroliner is a fantastic set for trains. One of the coveted one of trains, like one of the first really wonderful 9-volt train sets. And they also came out with the Black Sea Barracuda as the Legends line, if I remember correctly. They came out with the USS Constitution sailing ship that was basically brick built as a Legends line, but because the first one came out prior to somewhere in the 70s, I can't remember where it came out, and I should actually look it up right now, but I think I'm going to. The original Constitution came out in the mid or somewhere in the 70s, where they had 1x1x1 windows, because the window line in the old days was fantastic, where they had 1x1x1, they had 1x1x2, they had 1x2x1, they have 2x2, 1x2x2, they had 1x2x3, 1x2x4, 1x3x6, and was the shutters. They had a huge window line back then, and one of those windows was a 1x1x1. And the USS Constitution original set had used the 1x1x1 red windows, or white, I can't remember what color they used because they don't have a Constitution here, but they used that 1x1x1 part window. When they reissued it in the 2000s, I think it was the 2000s, probably might have been earlier, but I think in the 2000s the Legends line came out later. When they reissued the Constitution, I think it was called Constitution, doesn't matter. The boat is basically made of basic brick entirely. So they had all those still producing, but they didn't have the 1x1x1 window because it was discontinued 40 years earlier. 30 years ago, whatever, a long time earlier. They said, we're not going to make the mold just for this set. We're not going to make the mold at all. Why would we do that? Why would we make a mold just for this set, for this one run? So what they did is they used a headlight brick, the 1x1x1 headlight brick, as a replacement part for the USS Constitution. And I had no problem with that. But there was threads on Lugnet where people said, if you're gonna re-release a Legends set like the Metroliner, like the Black Sea Barracuda, it would be beholden on you to release it with the right parts. And I'm going, I get that. Like, if you're gonna re-release a set as a Legend, then it would be nice to have the right parts in it. But if you do not have the mold of a part that was discontinued 30 years earlier, and you have another piece that's remarkably similar. Now people, it's not the headlight, the 1x1x1 headlight brick is nothing like the 1x1 window brick. Well, yeah, you're right. It's got a square hole in the window brick and it's got a round hole in the headlight brick. So, yeah, that doesn't work. But in the end, I never faulted the Lego company for not putting the effort into it, because I can't even imagine what it takes for them to create a mold in the first place. I remember reading books and stuff about how Lego company makes a mold and how accurate it has to be and blah blah. I wouldn't, if you're trying to release a Legend set. No, unless it's something really awesomely, spectacularly awesome. I can't even see why you would want to. It's like, again, if this becomes a Legend set, would they have to rebuild or remake this mold? I wouldn't want them to. If they didn't want to, I'm not shaking my fist. Oh, you guys didn't make the right part for this set. No. If you want the original, go find it on eBay. Go find it on Bricklink. Go find it there. This is a Legend set. This is a re-release. It's like, I don't know. I have a tough time with that, where people, Lego company didn't put the effort that I demanded that they put it in. And it's like, so I was thinking, because they started releasing the Legend sets. And I said, ooh, it'd be really good if they released the Galaxy Explorer. Because, they're talking my language. Oh, where's the Galaxy Explorer? That'd be awesome. And then finally, just a few years back, as we all know, it wasn't a Legend set, because Legends was just a very, very short time frame in the 2000s, where the Lego company was like fishing for the nostalgia factor from us geeks. That but just a few years back, they came up with the restart over, whatever you want to call it, the reissue. Wasn't even a reissue. It was a homage, that's a better word, homage to the Galaxy Explorer. And I couldn't have been happier. When people started thinking, oh, they're going to re-release the Galaxy Explorer this year, and I'm going, well, I have 12, but forgetting that. I said, how are they going to do that? Because there's some parts and pieces in there that they haven't produced in ages. Not too many, but there's going to be some parts and pieces that they haven't done in a while. So, like the legend of the USS Constitution, I'm not looking forward to that. I want to see them create something new. And that's what they did. Because I gotta reach for it. Hopefully it's not going to drop anything on my head. I put my last actual Galaxy Explorer away. Get this out of the way. This is perfect. This is ideal for a re-release of the Galaxy Explorer. I love this thing. I absolutely adored this thing when I was building it. And of course I built this one second because I built the 918 first. But this is an adorable set. I can't believe the effort they put into it. Because when you're building it, you can see there's a lot of effort into this thing to make the nice smooth edges and stuff like that. And the greebling and blah, blah, blah. And the playability and all the functionality. And yet it looks like a Galaxy Explorer. Like it just looks like a Galaxy Explorer. And I said, but the playability and the features and the build and the whole thing is off the charts. I love this set. Now, do I love it more than the original Galaxy Explorer? No, because nostalgia. I mean, that's nostalgia. This is a different category. This is not nostalgia. This is a wonderful build. I love the Sat 5, my Saturn 5 out there. That was, to this day, I think my favorite build ever for the techniques used to get that Saturn 5 to look as it does. I absolutely adored it. I think for me, it was my most fun build that I've ever done. And it was a Saturn 5. So building this was comparable to the joy I had building the Saturn 5. I was a few years too young to really appreciate the Saturn project from NASA. Me, it was more space shuttle oriented because that's I was older then. But the Saturn V has been a huge part of my appreciation of space and science fiction and blah blah blah. You know, the Apollo 13 is one of my favorite movies at the time. So there were so many combinations of my life wrapped up in that Saturn V when I was building it. My passion for Lego, the passion for the space programs, passion for NASA, passion for everything space exploration. Absolutely adored the Saturn V. I love the Saturn V build more than the lunar lander build, and I didn't mind that one. But this thing was like the Saturn V for me because it was fun to build. Because like during the building tech, just trying to get it built, how is this going to work? In my head, I'm building because you're building the wing plates, and I'm going these wing pieces, and I go, how is this all going to work? Because you look at the picture, everything's nice and smooth. I can't understand how the wings are going to be looking as smooth when I'm putting all these blocks in there, and like how is this going to actually? And all of a sudden I get it done, and going, holy moly, nicely done. So now, so I did not mind that they did not do the 497 928/928 as a Legends line, because we got this. If they did a Legends back 20 years ago, I don't think we would have got this. I don't think we would have got this at all. And because mine's better. I mean, it looks the same as the instructions, but boom, bottom. Mine's better. Fantastic, absolutely adorable. Now the 924 is a little weak. I'm gonna say that. 924 is a little weak. Not completely weak, but a little weak. But the 918, I got 918 aside. I made that. Because this is 100% nostalgia, because the 918 is still my favorite space set ever, period. So because I got it first. So I didn't want them to re-release the exact set that I had when I was a kid. I didn't want them to. I want them to see what they're going to do now, because times have changed. This is a lot of snot building in here. Like a lot of snot building in here. It was fantastic. I don't know how to build snot very well, but this is fantastic. This is a good primer for me to learn how to do snot building. I don't think it would have been nearly as successful if they just re-released the 928 as it was. I think this is a better idea. So I applaud the Lego company for not kowtowing to people's demands for nostalgia to the point where I want a set from 1977 that, you know, the red chassis, the red car chassis. I want that set with exactly as it was. No, I wouldn't do that. First of all, nostalgia factor aside, that first car body sucks. I love it. I go right up there. But it sucks compared to what they do now. That would be an absolute waste of a nostalgia re-release of a set, is to build the original car chassis, to re-release that as a set. Now, again, nostalgia factor, I love the thing. It's up there, and I want to keep it. I got one. I'll bring it down because it's right there, and I love talking about it. This had a huge part of my childhood of yearning and wanting and coveting and blah, blah, blah. There we go. Get it in scene. There we go. This was in the back of one of my, you know, Richie Rich and or Wendy the Teenage Witch or whatever it was. Comic book. We're camping when you're 1997. I wanted this set. I got the go-kart, but I wanted this, and it took me forever to get one. And as a coveted set, I can see why it is coveted, but I think it would be an absolute waste for the Lego company to re-release this as a set. Straight up. This is a zone of time, 1977, that was perfect for 1977. In its day, in 1977, it's a perfect set. We are now in 2025. This is no longer even remotely close to a perfect Technic set. There are so many flaws with this set that we can see now because of the evolution of Technic, that this would be an utter waste of time to re-release as a set. It would be. Straight would be. Now, if you want it, with all seriousness, go on Bricklink and part it out, because I can't see these parts being expensive. Like, there's nothing in here besides maybe the tires that are expensive. I don't even know how expensive those tires are. I'm bringing 20 of them to the sale when I go to Bricks in the Six, so, because I got lots of them. But there's not a piece in here that's expensive, as far as my understanding is, because you can still, well, maybe the 24 tooth gears, the original ones, maybe, but I don't think those are expensive. But so if you want the set, go source the parts, because it is just bricks and plates and Technic bricks and a bunch of gears. That's all it is. There's nothing. Now, this was all brand new back in 1977. These gears did not exist before 1977. That 40 tooth gear did not exist before 1977. The axles did. They came out earlier. The pistons did not exist. The steering wheel, I don't know. I don't believe it existed before 1977. The bushings were red before 1977. They look different. But 1977, this came out, and then these pieces lasted until 1978, 1979, 1980, way up into the 80s, and then into the 90s, before they changed the 24 tooth gear, before they changed the universal joint at the back. I think it was halfway through the 90s when they changed the universal in the back. And it's not even a universal in the back of this one, so what am I even talking about? There's no universal in this guy. So as the other sets that had the first universal, the universals weren't even around in 1977. So it's like, I have, lately I've been talking a little bit of smack about the Lego company, and sometimes they're, but in the end, being around the Lego company, or appreciative of the Lego company for 58 plus years, I have really nothing to complain about. Like, literally nothing to complain about. I'm gonna complain because people like complaining, like the weather and whatever, and traffic, but there's literally nothing to complain about. They're still here. I also remember years ago, and this is back when we were doing a lot of shows, and hanging around the Meccano guys, and hanging around the Lionel guys, and hanging around the others, other things, that when Meccano disappeared, and I don't know what year they disappeared, because you can still buy Meccano sets. I think they were they went, I don't know if they went under, but they basically folded their manufacturing stuff for a while there, and I think another company bought them. You can still buy Meccano new off the store shelves. If I don't pay too much attention, but I think I seen some new Meccano sets in the store. But for a while there, you couldn't buy new Meccano because the company was gone, and we were doing all these shows. with the mechanical guys across the hall from us. They put the Lego guys on one side, mechanical guys on the other side. We talked to them, and there was the old gray hair society, which I am now. But they said, oh, it's hard to source parts now because you can't buy them new, and so you have to look for garage sales and what they call boot sales, which is like garage sales, and flea markets to find them, and blah blah blah, and because that's the only way you can source parts that you want to build with Meccano. And I said, ooh, I never want to get that with the Lego company, because if the Lego company's around, I can always get Lego. Now, I think there's a huge difference between Meccano and Lego, is that if you just go on Marketplace right now and you type in Lego, and you're going to get 1,000 hits for huge bulk lots of Lego. You don't get the same from Meccano. I've done that a few times. Hey, let's see what's out there for Meccano. And there's almost nothing out there for Meccano on Marketplace. There's a lot on eBay, but not nearly as extensively as there is for Lego. And that's because Lego was a multinational, huge, far bigger than Meccano ever was. In the 50s and 60s, Meccano was bigger. From talking to my cousins that are a lot older than me, in the 50s and 60s, Meccano was a much better toy, or bigger toy for them. Lego was hardly even heard of in North America. I mean, I don't think we got I think 1962, again, don't quote me on this, as when the Canadian Samsonite company got the rights to produce Lego in Canada. And I heard from some of my friends that are my age, that or older, that what happened, why they got Lego earlier than that, is because they had a dad or some relative that was a business person who got to fly over to Europe a lot, and would buy Lego from Germany and Denmark or whatever, and bring it back here. Now, you could, from what I was told, you could buy Lego here prior to 1962, but it wasn't as extensively well known as it is now as a worldwide multinational, whatever. But I also said at the time, when I talked about these Meccano guys, that my passion for this hobby is not limited to or subject to the fact that the Lego company exists. And I don't want it to happen, but if the Lego company disappeared tomorrow, they said, oh, we're closing our doors, we've done it since 1947, we're done, we're out. Can't handle the lawsuits anymore with the jackass companies that are stealing our stuff. We're done. Let somebody else do it for now. If they ever did that, not that they ever would do that, but if they ever disappeared tomorrow, if they ever folded their doors up, closed their doors tomorrow, I would still, to my dying breath, be a fan of the Lego brick. Absolute fan. And a fan of the company. Absolute fan. This is the acronyms, I am an AFOL, an adult fan of Lego. That's who I am. That's who I've always been when I became an adult. There's a KFOL, kid fan of Lego. I was a KFOL before 1980. So before I was at the TFOL, teen fan of Lego, I was from 1980 to 1989. So I will never ever stop liking this hobby. It's been 58 years. I don't see this abating at all. That I'm a huge fan of the Lego brick. I'm a huge fan of the people I met. I'm a huge fan of the company, even though sometimes they talk about Legos. But that's just my little thing. I want the company to be successful. I put a lot of effort into presenting at shows and everywhere else a huge positive joy of this hobby. I tried to exude the joy that I have for this hobby, and therefore, one of my biggest things about my joy for this hobby is I try not to, besides this, I try not to get bogged down into the semantics and the whining of people who say, oh, they discontinued this part 10 years ago and I wanted it. Go on, Bricklink. Like, seriously, come on, Bricklink. You can get the part. Oh, I wish they released it in this color. They released a lot of colors. Again, not to talk about this. Here is my bright light orange, which to me is yellow. my bright light orange go-kart. You know the problem with this one is there are literally no 1x8 or 1x4 bright light yellow Technic bricks. And so I had to build 1x2s to fake the 1x8s, and I had to fake 1x2s for the 1x4s up front because they only have 1x16s and they only have 1x2s. I would love it. I would love it. I'm not going to write a letter because I don't care that much, but I would love it if the Lego company made a 1x4 or a 1x8 Lego Technic brick in bright light orange. But this isn't even the one I would really want to finish. The other one I would love to finish is this guy, the regular orange, which has been around for decades now. The regular orange brick color has been around for literally decades now. And you know what part they've never released ever, anywhere, at any point? It's a 1x16. They have not released a 1x16 Technic brick in just regular basic orange. And it drives me nuts because I got dark blue done. I got a reasonable facsimile of the bright light yellow or bright light orange. I have azure, I have tan, I have brown, I have 18 different colors. 18 different colors of this go-kart right now. And the one I cannot complete at all is orange. I got lime green done. Lime green. I have a lime green go-kart. That's because it had all the parts in the right colors. And I think orange came out before lime green. Orange has been around longer than lime green. I do not have a lime green. I do not have an orange go-kart at all. Also 1x4. They never released a 1x4, so I got this burnt orange there. So I got burnt orange for the 1x4, and I'm just using red for the 1x16. And for the 1x8s, I'm just using a 1x2 and a 1x6 orange Technic brick. So they came out 1x2, 1x6, and that's it. no 1x8, no 1x4, and no 1x16. It's like, oh, I'm shaking my fist in a general direction. So I find this humorous, and again, I don't care if they never release a 1x16. I don't care if they ever released a 1x8. If they did, I get to finish this. But in the end, it doesn't matter to me. I'm not, the Lego company sucks. And I think if you want to bring it back to the other conversations I've had recently about the other stuff that I get, it doesn't matter to me that they don't release the parts that I want. This is Lego, and I'm looking at this room of 1 million parts. Conservatively. I'm looking at this room and I'm going, why am I getting my knickers in a knot? It's an old-timey expression. Why am I getting much chagrin? Why am I getting any kind of angst or upsetness or for a part that they haven't released yet, or they discontinued years ago and I want it to be re-released? I don't even understand that, because there's literally enough here. I don't have to buy a piece for the rest of my life. There's enough here to keep me occupied for the next 100 years. There is enough parts in this room to keep me going. It's like I said, if the Lego company disappeared tomorrow, I'd be unhappy, because I love the company and they do a lot of great in the world, and they bring a lot of joy to everybody. But if they disappear tomorrow, I'm going to be happy sitting here. When I retire, I'm going to be happy sitting here for many times, for many hours. Right now, I can't afford to do that. But when I'm retired, you betcha, I'm going to spend a week down here straight. I'm going to put a sleeping bag right there on the floor. Scratch here. And skip the dishes, can bring me dinner, and I'll eat down here. But this is my zen. Like, my whole house is my zen, because my beautiful wife and my kids upstairs. But this is my hobby zen. When I'm in this room, zen, because I'm looking at it and I'm going, oh, that and that and that. Oh, I wanted to do this. Oh, this, like all these things in this room. Like, I just look up there and I go up there and I go, zen. I'm sorry. Like, this brings me zen, because of the memories, the nostalgia factor, and everything. And again, this brings me zen. I got one. This definitely brings me zen, because I had so much fun modifying it so the landing gear would fold up and the guy could sit properly inside. I built it better. Call me. Call me next time. No, I can't fault them. I will not fault them the way they built it. Again, I'm not shaking my fist. You guys, oh, why didn't you? No, because this was effort, by the way, to get that working. And I think I like Jess better. But this was effort to keep it, consistent with folding landing gear. But I had fun doing it. Like, I wouldn't change this guy at all. I haven't changed this guy at all. I think this guy is a perfect homage to the Galaxy Explorer. The 918 was a little deficient for the landing gear, and the weeble wobble of the antenna. It doesn't do it anymore, but the thing still pops out. Yeah, see. So this is cute. I like that. But I wanted to build it my way, and I did. The 928 is identical to the instructions, and the 924 is identical to its instructions. But this one, I had to modify. So, and I'm going to keep on doing this. I'm going to keep on playing. I'm going to keep on reminiscing. I'm going to keep on appreciating what they did before. This piece here hasn't been around for ages. This piece that is connected to hasn't. Well, it was a little after. That piece lasted a little longer. I don't know if they still use it. I don't think so. This is there you go. There's the minifig right there. The pre-minifig. Only ran 2 years. So what else? No, everything else. Oh, the doors. You don't get the doors anymore. Those doors discontinued, but they were in everything back then. They were literally everywhere, these doors back then. The trans piece, the trans 1x2 with a pip in the middle, tube in the middle, I don't know what you want to call that. You can't get those anymore. The windshield, I think you can still get the windshield. I think those pieces are still produced today. And everything else in here, is exactly basic pieces. Definitely get those. I still got tons of those. I still get those. The 2x3 slopes, the 2x2 slopes, the 4x12. There's no other parts in here that have been discontinued. If they re-release this set, this piece and the piece behind it, and the doors. I know they still release this, the 2x2 double convex, whatever you want to call it, slope. This is the first set that I got this in blue, by the way. These slope pieces. I have tons of red from before because this is always using roofs. But this was the first set that I got those in blue. So I do not mind. I do not mind at all that Lego discontinues parts and comes up with new parts. I keep on saying all the power to them. I was going to talk about a whole bunch of different topics, but that seems what I focused on a lot. So in the end, Lego company, you just keep right on doing what you're doing, because you do not disappoint those who really appreciate it. I've been around for a long time, and I've gone through the ebbs and flows of the communities and the whiners and the toxic fandoms and blah blah. But in the end, you guys keep on doing what you're doing, and you're here next year, and you're here the year after that, and you're here the year after that. You do seem to like redefining your presentation to the world every so often, not necessarily radically, but I want to pull it down. It's right there. Let's see if I'm gonna pull anything else off. And they work. Compasses. Again, like, what company puts effort? They come, hey, we're gonna have a compass in this pirate line or whatever the cat. Maybe it's pirate. I think probably pirates. Okay, we're gonna have compasses in there. We're not just gonna put a print on a 1x1 round tile. No, we want a compass that actually works. Like, this is why I adore this company. Other companies would not put this effort into it. That these compasses actually do work. They all point north. And I'm going, that's extraordinary for that effort. Because they could just put a print on a 1x1 tile of a compass. And they didn't. That doesn't make a working compass. Stuff like that. I'm going, just the stupid little minutiae of stuff. Now, again, they've had some flaws, but 99.999% of the stuff they've ever produced, besides 1995 to 2000 was whatever, besides the RCX, it's all been maybe not necessarily knocked out of the park, but at least an infield play to get the run around first. 99.9 is a run around first or above. Grand slams, right here. Grand slams, grand slam for me. This one, but not too many other people. They've completely obliterated the baseball as it's leaving, like the natural. It falls apart in the air. The Natural is literally one of my favorite movies of all time. It is such a tearjerker and whatever. Glenn Close, Robert Redford, Protsky. Robert Protsky. He was in Hill Street for a little bit, if I remember correctly. Fantastic movie. Absolutely adorable movie. But anyway, knocks it out of the park. The Lego Company. Sometimes a lot more than other companies have, I think. In the grand scheme of things, Lego companies knocked it out of the park much more than other companies of similar caliber. And most of this stuff, even if they're not knocking it out of the park, they're getting the run around first. Not to use baseball metaphors right now. But and so I'm going to keep on supporting them. But again, if they disappear, I'm sorry to see them go. And thankfully they're not, but I'm sorry to see them go. But it's not going to change. It's not going to change one iota of my appreciation of this hobby. If they discontinue a part tomorrow, it's not gonna diminish me at all. It's not going to diminish my love for this hobby, my passion for my friends, my want to do shows, my want to sit here and build for 5 hours straight. I sorted the other day the trans neon orange. I sorted at 3 a.m. Didn't even realize it. didn't even dawn on me what time it was. Because I was listening to music on my computer there, and I was sorting, and I was having a great time. And the whole world went by for 5 hours, and I had no idea. The world could have been a zombie apocalypse out there. It could have been Walking Dead out there. I wouldn't have known because I'm too busy sorting. And I loved every single second of it. And I'm going, I don't even understand sometimes. I was again talking to my cousin Rick the other day about his passion for his truck, and he has the same thing when he's in the zone of working on his truck. Like a day will go by, he doesn't eat. I've been there. I've been there and here. Sandy will bring me food. I haven't seen it in 6 hours. Oh, sorry, I lost complete track of time. I love it when that happens. This is the passion for this hobby. And so from me to you, from me to anybody, from me to the thoughts of people who keep on shaking their fist because a company's not doing what you want them to do, find something else then, because they shouldn't be beholden to anybody. It's their company. And thus far, they've proven themselves to be a successful company. They've been around for, I won't say 100 years, but 80. So it'll be coming up to 80 years, I guess, soon. I hope to be there when they hit 100, like 1947. You can go with 1932 with the woodworking, if I remember correctly. But I hope to be around for a long time to enjoy their anniversaries. I remember their 50th. That was pretty good. And all that other stuff. Just keep on going. But I will not shake my fist in the general direction. I'll make a joke about it, but I will not on purpose or with righteous indignation. I'm trying to enunciate better. I will not shake my fist with righteous indignation towards Lego Company when they don't do something that I think is wrong. When they do something that I think, let me rephrase that. When they do something that I think is wrong. I've never thought the Lego Company was wrong. I have said that the late 90s was a bad time for the Lego Company. I've said, without any kind of ambiguity, that they couldn't seem to produce a set for the life of them that people wanted to buy. But also, compounded with that, there was a whole bunch of knockoffs companies that just completely obliterated and were cheaper than, for obvious reasons, because they were just crap. And parents did not know how to differentiate between the Lego sets and the knockoffs. And they just went in there and said, there's a big box of crap, but they don't know it's crap, and a small box of Lego, and they're the same price. Of course I'm going to buy the big box of crap because I don't know it's crap and bring it home, and the kids are crying within 3 days because the bricks are breaking. That's what happened to my nephews. in the 90s. I would buy them Lego. Even if it says I wouldn't buy for myself. I'd buy my nephew. I mentioned this before. I bought my nephews a lot of Lego through the 90s. Birthdays, Christmases, whatever. Any reason to come over. Here's a Lego set. And I got them all back. That wasn't the plan, by the way. They all came back to me. The Harry Potter train. I remember buying 2 copies. Okay, so they did make some good sets. But I do remember buying the Harry Potter train. The first one that had, I think, 9-volt, but you had to modify it. But anyway, I bought 2 sets because they were on some sort of discount somewhere in the world, and I bought 2, and I gave one for me. I kept one for me, and I gave one to my nephew for Christmas, and that set came back. So, woohoo! I got 2 Harry Potter trains. A lot of Aquazone. I bought my nephew, because that's when Aquazone was huge, right? And we love swimming in the water. I bought my nephews a lot of Aquazone, and I got them all back. So, but anyway, I might joke around. I might even have my own issues, if you want to call them that, with the Lego company at certain points of their certain pointness. But in the end, it's never waned. It's never affected my deep appreciation for who they are and what they stand for and what they do. And one of the things that they've done was being inclusive, or put the effort, like the genuine effort, into trying to be inclusive. And I think this is spectacularly awesome for a company. And they were doing this before it became all the rage for other companies to jump on the bandwagon. So, I mean, I cannot stop speaking enough of how much, I mean, again, there have always been missteps. People, oh, that means you, no, I don't, if there are missteps, there's missteps. But the missteps thus far are not detrimental to me hating the company or shaking my fist at the company or saying, oh, you guys screwed up. No, you made a mistake. I make mistakes literally all the time. Some people think this is a mistake. I don't care. So, but keep on going. Keep on doing it. You don't owe anybody. You do not owe anybody in the public an explanation for what you're doing. You're not like some CEO of some company in Poland stealing a hat from a kid at a tennis game. That requires an apology. When a doofus of such tremendous proportions takes a hat away from a kid, I really, like, and read the room, like, honestly, but you're too rich and too arrogant and too prickish enough to understand how morally vacuous you are. But whatever. And then threatening to sue anybody who talks ill of you. Here's me talking ill of you. You're a jackass. You're a jackass, and I hope at one point that I'm in a position where I have to decide of what company to go with, and your company is one of the ones on tender, and I can tell you to go to it's gonna say a bad word, but I tell you to go to hell. But alas, you're on a different continent than I am, and so I can rally all I want against you, and it doesn't matter. You don't care because you're just a rich prick that doesn't care, clearly. But that's a whole other story. I'm gonna start wrapping this up. I've been doing over an hour. Going back on full stream here. To wrap no, I'm gonna do this in a different video because I don't want to do this an hour into it because it doesn't show appreciation. That's it. That's all. That's it. I can't think of anything else. I can think of many things, but not right now. Everybody out there, stay safe, take care. I appreciate you watching for an hour and 3 minutes, and I will talk to you soon.